people seem to like my jerky videos. I like my jerky videos because that means I'm making jerky, and today I'm making beef jerky again. But not like beef jerky I've made before for videos. This is going to be a whiskey beef jerky. And we're starting with about 3 pounds, maybe 3.5 pounds of boneless beef shoulder here. It's been trimmed up a bit, but there's probably going to be some really hard connective tissue inside, which we'll get rid of as we cut this up. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing a jerky video, I will put something like this in the freezer first so that it gets a little bit firm and it makes it easier to get sort of those thin slices. But today I'm not really doing those kind of sliced beef jerky. I want to make sticks so that they have a little bit more of a square shape to them. So we're just going to start breaking this down. I'm going to start at the long end here and just get a big section cut off. This is a USDA choice boneless beef shoulder piece. So I'm just cutting these sections about the same size here. It'll make it easier to work with as we cut our strips. So I'll just move these out of the way and start with this piece here. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of cut it into thin strips like that. Now other cuts you can use for this are top round, which is London broil, use bottom round. In all honesty, you can use any cut of beef you want. You can make brisket beef jerky. You could make ribeye beef jerky. This cut works well because it is a tough cut and it's kind of made for making jerky out of it, because once you dry it, it doesn't matter if it's tough. So now what I want to do is I want to cut these just in about half like this, and then I'm going to start making those pieces, those strips that aren't real flat. Just like that. That's what I'm going for. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this up. There we go, a pile of beef. All right, let's get our marinade ready. So one quick thing about the marinade before we make it. A lot of times people say you don't make enough marinade, the meat's not completely covered. My experience is you don't have to submerge every piece all the time in there. It doesn't have to be swimming. As long as you move it around in whatever you're storing it in while it's marinating, whether it be like a Ziploc bag or a bowl or some sort of container. And this is going to go overnight, and I'm probably going to stir it in there 2 or 3 times. So it's going to have plenty of time for every piece of meat to have contact with the marinade and soak it in. So I tend not to over-make marinade here. Now, this is a whiskey beef jerky, so our first ingredient is 1 cup of whiskey. Next, we have half a cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper. This is sort of a coarsely ground black pepper. For a little extra sweetness, I'm adding about 1/4 cup of honey here. This is a rough measurement. Now I'm going to be doing this in the oven, so if I wanted smoke flavor, I could do it on the smoker, but I do want some of that smoke flavor inside. So I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of hickory liquid smoke. Doesn't take a whole lot. And I'm just going to mix this together slowly because that honey in there is very, very thick. Just want to give it a chance to loosen up a little bit. It's not going to completely dissolve, but it's going to be nice on this beef. And as I mentioned, this is going to marinate overnight in the refrigerator in a container. If you don't have enough time to do it overnight, if you can give it 4 hours, that's usually sufficient. But if you have overnight, let it soak in some more flavor. All right, let's get this on our beef. Nothing fancy here, just pour it in. And I'm just going to get in here with my gloved hand and make sure everybody gets an initial dip in this marinade before they get mixed around every few hours. I probably could have gone another, I don't know, pound of meat with this much marinade. It's a little too much marinade in what I usually make for this amount of beef, but no problem with that. We'll just soak in some more. There we go. Lid's going on this. It's going in the refrigerator, and I'll see you tomorrow when it's time to turn this into jerky. All right, our beef shoulder strips have been marinating overnight. It's time to get them racked up and get them in the oven. Now, often when I do this, I'll try and dry the pieces off first just to get rid of some of that extra moisture from the marinade, because that just prolongs the drying time. But because this has that whiskey flavor, I really want to leave it on there, so I'm just going to take it straight from the marinade onto the racks. All right, there we go. Everybody's on 2 racks. There's a little bit of touching going on here. These are gonna shrink, it's gonna be fine. If you can allow airflow around them, that's better. But sometimes they get a little close. And because they're on a raised rack, that is gonna promote airflow under them, so it's gonna be fine. Now, as I always say when I make beef jerky, I don't make it for preservation. This is gonna go in the refrigerator when it's done, and it'll be gone in less than a week because that's how I make it for a snack. I've never had it last more than 5, 6, or 7 days. It's gone before then. So if you're making it for preservation, that's a whole other process. Look for videos on that. This is my, simple way for refrigerated beef jerky, and it tastes fantastic. I also don't take mine really dry like some recipes. I like there to be a little bit of moisture left in it. So my oven is preheated to 160 degrees. Really, you want to get it down there into that 160 to 170 range. It can be done a little higher, but that's the temp range my oven can do, and it does a good job with it. So let's get these in the oven. So this is going to take 4, 5, even 6 hours, but we'll see as we get along how long it's going to take. You'll be able to tell. After about an hour, I'm going to switch positions on those racks, just move one up and the other one down. And at about 2 hours, we'll take a closer look, but it's probably going to be at least 4 hours. So I'll see you back here in a little bit. So here is our beef jerky at 2 hours. It's not done yet, but I wanted to take it out so you can get a good look at it, kind of close up here. Still got more time to go. You can see it's very bendy. I like to have it with just a little bit of like a tear as you do this and just feel a little bit more dry. So I think this is going to be probably about 2 more hours. I mean, these are some pretty big pieces. They're not as thin as the pieces I would usually do because I wanted to do these sort of sticks, and that's fine. So I'm guessing probably 2 hours, could be another 3, but we'll check them again in 2 hours. Here is our finished beef jerky. I'm saying it's finished even without checking it because about 45 minutes ago I did check it. So this is 4 hours and 45 minutes. I didn't film that part, but I'm gonna pick one of these pieces up and just show you what I'm looking for. And not every piece is gonna be the same level of doneness. As I mentioned, I like mine to have a little bit of moisture, not be super dry and snappy. So here on this one you can see how it's just tearing, but it's not snapping, just like that. That's how I like my jerky. So I'm gonna go ahead and let these cool for about 15 minutes and we'll get them out on the board here and we'll have a taste. All right, our beef jerky's been cooling down for about 15 minutes here. And I went ahead and off camera, I weighed it. And what we have here is 1 pound, 14.8 ounces of beef jerky. We started with 3 pounds of beef shoulder, and that was boneless beef shoulder. So we have just under 2/3 remaining. So we lost a little bit over 1/3 of our weight, which is pretty normal. Now, if you're drying this for preservation or you like it drier, you're gonna lose more weight there. But that roast cost me $9. It was on special. And if you are going to get almost 2 pounds of beef jerky of good quality with flavors you want in it here, you'd be paying a lot more than $9, at least in the area I live in. So this is a really good deal if you want to make your own beef jerky. And just look at it. This will last a day or two. Okay, it's gonna last more than a day or two, but this goes in the refrigerator. Like I mentioned, I don't do this for preservation, so I'll just grab pieces out of the refrigerator. In fact, I've given this to people before and they put it in the freezer and they'll just take pieces out of the freezer, thaw them in the refrigerator, use them as they want to. So this is a super simple process, and now let's have a taste. I'm gonna take this little guy right here. Let's see. It has that good jerky pull, a little bit of smoke flavor from that liquid smoke, and you'd have a different sort of smoke flavor if you did this out on the smoker, but there's nothing wrong with this at all. Tastes good, and a nice hint of that whiskey. Now you're not getting the alcohol-y flavor. I'm assuming that would have all cooked off in the 4 hours and 45 minutes in the oven, but you are getting that sort of whiskey sweetness in this, which is really nice. And for this, you can really customize it to your liking. Try other flavors, add other flavors to this. You want it saltier, add some more salt. You want it sweeter, add some brown sugar instead of the honey. You really can play around with this recipe and with the method here. It's really about getting it to the level of doneness you want and enjoying it.